Hey y'all, welcome to the Filling Station. It's a new day, another opportunity to make money in the market or to just learn from the market, right? So let me go ahead and give my disclaimer, y'all. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth, and the stock market is just one of those avenues. So this video is for educational purposes only. With that being said, y'all, let's get started. So we are looking at the VIX, and as you can see, we had a gathering spot created here, right? And then all of a sudden we had some economic data and we broke through the gathering spot. So this would have been a nice trade if the market was right open and we could have entered this to the downside. That would have been a nice trade, right? If we were trading the other stocks. Let's say that. Let me go ahead and say that. So right now the support for the VIX was at 1442 and resistance was at 1449. So be mindful that we can come back and retest this area. Right now we made a low of 1369 based on the news that just came out. So I would watch this area of support because we have broken through the area that I had marked previously as support. We broke under this area here, which was at 1402. We had another level 14, that's at 1435. We've broken through that level. So be mindful of the 1369. We did come back and test this area. However, we could very well come back to the area. I always say the demand zone or the gathering spot, that 1442 area. So be mindful of that. So let's go to the SPY. Right now the SPY broke out of a gathering spot also. So we had it marked at 506.44 to 506.80, and our resistance was at the 508.21. We broke through the 510.25, broke through the 511.17, only to make this high of 511.51. Be mindful of that because if it comes down, we can come back and retest that area again. It looks like, we're moving to the upside. However, this is our gathering spot. We could very well come back to the 506.08 or the 506.44 area. Be mindful of that. Again, not financial advice. So can we continue to the upside? We very well can. And I'm trying to see where our next level of trouble is. 511.49. I have 514.53 as a level of resistance, and then 515.44 as a level of resistance, and 517.02 as a level of resistance. Do I see us getting to those places? I can't say that I do. I just say trade what you see. Just keep in mind the gap. We closed at 505.03. We are going to gap up, meaning there's going to be a gap to the downside that needs to be filled. And SPY normally moves $6.70 per day. So if you trade the SPY, I say be careful, trade carefully. And again, this is the 5-minute chart, how we just nicely went all the way to the upside. It looks like it's trying to continue climbing, but I always say, y'all, just trade carefully and always wait on confirmations as to why you're entering your trades, right? Tesla is Tesla. So the support we had marked earlier for 179.04, resistance 179.71. We were trading in that zone until we got the news that came out. Then we broke through the 180.51. through the 50 EMA, which is 180.82. We stopped here at this ATR trailing stop. You see why it's really important that we mark those areas, because Tesla came up to the 182.75 only to get rejected to come back to the downside. Now it would need to break this area and then break the 183.10 in order to continue, to the upside. Is it doable? It is. Anything is possible, right? So just know that looking at on the 1 hour, we're going to have trouble at the 185.71. which is the ATR trailing stop for Tesla. Keep in mind that to the downside, we've come back to this 178 level a few times. There's 1, 2, 3, and as you can see, price has been in this area. If we break the 178, I have an alert set at 178.40. We can come back down to the 176.09 or the 172.24. So if you trade Tesla, I always say trade carefully. Keep in mind Tesla is on an average today of $10.47 per day. We did come and find support at the 50 EMA on the daily chart, and we are above the 5 EMA at 178.30. So I would watch those levels, and again, trade carefully. Y'all trade, have other confirmations as to why you're entering your trades. We did get rejected here for Tesla. So let's go to Nvda. Nvda broke through our gathering spot based on the economic data that just came out and made a high of 876.63. I need to remember that number because we can come back and retest it if we come down, right? So, okay. Right now, our support is at 861.01. Resistance was at 864.12. Be mindful of those because we can come back to this area. We were resting there for a while. News came out, brought us up. We can come back to this area. If we break below 859.03, then we could very well come and test the 855.33 or the 849.99. So this 876.63 is important because we did test this area. However, if we break this, we could very well come back to this 886.78 or the 892.55. Those are areas of resistance as of now for Nvidia. And keep in mind, Nvidia moves $43.49 per day. That's interesting, always helpful to know. And that number does change. So we are right at the 5 and the 20 EMA on the daily chart. We can come down. You know, if we decide to come back down, keep in mind that 825 is a support level on the daily chart, and it looks as if there's still some gaps to the downside for Nvidia that need to be filled. Again, I always say trade what you see, know where you're going to have trouble, label those places, and pay attention to your charts. I can't say that enough. AMD did the same. We had a gathering spot marked here, and it had a very tight range. Our support was at 145.80. Resistance was right here at the 146.04. We broke through the 5 and the 50 to the upside, but as you can see, we got rejected again at that ATR trailing stop. We came up and made, broke through it, but price is now under it. That was the stopping point for us. The 148.23 is a number that I need to remember because we have tested that area and we could very well come back down to the gathering spot only to move back to the upside. So if you trade AMD, I always say y'all trade carefully. Just know that we're going to have trouble. And it's interesting that ATR trailing stop is right there at the 50 EMA on this 1 hour chart at the 148.23. So that's what actually stopped it from moving higher, as you can see here. Just know that we're going to have trouble if it decides to go back to the upside at the 148.66 and at the 150.86. So those are places for AMD that we will have trouble to the upside. That is above the 150.86 and 154.26 are trouble places. Now to the downside, know that if we break under where we are now, under 145.47, we could very well come back down to the 141.03. That's something to be mindful of. I always say y'all trade what you see. Don't rush into your trades. Allow your trades to come to you. See how it's coming off of that high. It got rejected. It's coming back down. So we have talked about AMD, Nvidia, Tesla, SPY, and the VIX. So we have a lot of inside day candles, y'all, a lot of those. So I did a separate video only because it was so many of them. Amazon and Google, HUT, IWM, Mara, Meta, Microsoft, MU, PayPal, SoFi. All of those are inside day candles. UPS, Upstart. So if you trade any of those, please check out my other video on inside day candles for 5/3/24. Super excited at that, y'all. So, I'm not going to keep this as long as normal, y'all. I just want to say I hope that everyone have an awesome day today. A very productive day, very profitable day today. So I always like to leave you with this, y'all. Be blessed as well as a blessing unto others. Until next time.